Yeah. The excitement in business, and you get really excited when somebody's like on the same weird level as you are, who gets really excited over the most random things. So it's
Yeah.
nice. It's really nice.
Well, I'm going with Kevin. That's what I'm calling Kevin, like
All right.
the first one for me. Um, I found him on Anchor, and I had
Oh
posted
yeah.
about, what? Yes,
Yeah, that's right. I was like, how did we? Oh
yeah,
yeah, it was Anchor.
yeah. I like I do keep like a little Rolodex of the random places where I find you guys, so that I can be like that one time when I talked to you. So like, I'm not saying that I go around. Yay, is it Van Baird? Just dropped to
Yeah.
say hi. Kevin is the man. Well, I'm bummed that you can't hang out, I guess, but I would love it if you
Thanks,
do.
fan.
Are you guys getting feedback at all? Okay, I'm getting a little bit, but it's not too bad. Sometimes Blab is bad about that, so it's important
Mhm.
to, if you can, to have the headset. But either way, it's fine. Anyway, so my point was that, yeah, I like to know where I found all you guys. Anyways, I had posted on Anchor about business process improvement. You had responded, and I said you want to
Yeah.
join me on Blab, and I also enjoy bringing people to try Blab. And so, Casey, this is also your first one, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like this is a really interesting, awesome.
That's a good excuse. Get him it. That's a good excuse.
Understandable, Van.
Yeah, but I like to, just have people try new things, and I feel like this is a really interesting platform that we can potentially use, in our businesses, whether it's, just having a conversation with somebody who's got,
Mhm.
you know, like any interest that's related to what we've got going on, or if it's actually the intention of specifically selling and pushing service or products that we offer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I love the fact that we can get on here and, like I said, have a conversation, kind of meet in real life. You can see the chat on the side of the window. You can also see when people pop in and out of the screen up at the top, and then again having this call situation. So,
Right.
Casey, I'll actually send you my Blab co-hosting packet. It's something that I've started working on just because I feel like there are some kind of nuances and unknowns about using a platform like this. So you may find it valuable.
Yeah, it was
One thing,
super helpful.
cool. And one of the things that I want to add is definitely this microphone situation, because it can be very off-putting, when you're trying to do a thing and you've got like 10 million things going on. The last two times I tried to do a Blab, my internet went down like right before it. So it's like,
Yeah.
but being a leader in anything that you do, it just helps to be informed and be prepared to go live, which is essentially about, it's actually past time, but we'll segue into that. So actually, I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. We're recording this so that once we're done, we're going to be able to receive this information as a voice record as well as a video record, and you're welcome to reuse this as content if you wish.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing that I love about Blab. So I'm Nicole Nadkarni, and I'm the Chief Solution Wizard of Creative Niche Collective. I love helping people do whatever it is that they like to do. Solution Wizard is a very broad term, but essentially I like to help small businesses, improve their processes, as well as take the steps forward to scale in whichever way is relevant for them at that time. So that's a little bit about me. But Kevin, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Kevin Eckmark. I own a internet marketing agency for small businesses. We specialize in family entertainment. That's like one of our verticals. But we also have like lawn care, green industry. I just signed someone who's a gym, which is also fun. So we have a few hundred clients, and processes has been extremely important for us, just because we've grown from like 2 people to 20 people this year. And yeah, it's a passion of mine, local businesses, and I'm sure you guys understand. Sometimes they can be, lacking processes. So yeah, that's me. And what?
Well, thank you so much again for joining, and I'm really looking forward to hearing more about what we've got to say going on here. So, and then Casey, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Kevin Christine. I'm the founder of a company, relatively new company called Made in California, which is a contemporary shop and guide for natural, simple living. And it's all about being able to live a nice lifestyle without sacrificing your sanity or your deodorant. You know, it's about being able to incorporate natural living into your life and making it work in how you need it. You know, it's not an all or nothing type of thing. It's pick and choose. And, you know, it's just about living, you know, and still enjoying the things you love, beer, tacos, you know, deodorant, that type of thing. So
all the good things.
All the good things that nobody should have to give up. Sorry, but you shouldn't.
I'm just making a little I'm doing the last 30 seconds of our thing. I just shared it saying, you know, we're going to have a good conversation, so come on in and join us. Also, just to let you know that Heather is on here. She's watching from her computer. She's a friend of mine that I met. She's working on her setting up her business with serving people who work from home or work and sit in chairs all day long and helping them come up with solutions for fitness and nutrition.
Nice.
I hope that was a fair assessment, Heather. Like yay, okay. And also, I love that you can like give love. You can go and click the little hands and give love when you love. Yay! So but I have to say again, she's one that every time I come onto something, she's always there. So I really love seeing when she pops in, and I hope that she'll be able to add to our conversation today. So the topic at hand, as I was telling Kevin by Twitter, this is a really like big thing for me. As you mentioned, Kevin, you know, you said that as a small business, you know, there can be some serious need or opportunity for processes. Is that the right way to say it? Processes. Anyway,
I don't know. I say processes.
Anyways, I've been thinking about that one for a little bit, but I get really excited about this because, I mean, for me, one of the biggest differences between being a big guy and a little guy is the resources and the delegation opportunities, I think, right? I mean, they have more people who can do more things. So theoretically speaking, you know, it makes it easier to be a bigger company. Although I've also seen process improvement opportunities in a big company. And I really feel that process improvement is the opportunity to scale. You can't scale until you have your processes in order.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Totally fair. Totally
right?
fair.
So, I mean, and in fact, that was a huge reason of why I started Creative Niche Collective, is that I felt, you know, I have a background in corporate retail. I worked at a merchandising desk. I moved to another one, and then I became the pricing and promotional messaging coordinator for this corporation. And I worked with, you know, not only the business, but the stores. And so I started to see that there was a web, right, of all the people that work together to make this business function, you know, and it gets very complex as you add people to your business infrastructure. So Kevin, I'm actually going to ask you a couple questions right now.
Yeah.
So you said you went from 2 people to 20 people in a year?
No. It went.
Or okay, I was gonna say like that's ridiculous. Regardless, even
that would be fun.
20 people is still pretty big.
Yeah.
But give us a little bit of background about that.
Yeah. So we basically jumped from about 7 people to 20 this year.
Wow.
So there was a slow grind of just us figuring out who we were and getting those initial targeting or vertical targeting down. And so we ended up hitting our stride last year and just really a lot of growth. Part of it was just getting a couple of franchises on board with us, and then also just hitting our verticals really hard. But yeah, processes was implementing them at first when we were small and scrappy. It didn't matter as much, right? Partially just because we were all just doing a lot of stuff. We were doing whatever it took to get things done. And then, you know, you hit that point where it's like, oh crap, I'm killing my employees if I don't put some processes together. Things are falling through the cracks if we don't have it. And you end up looking at what you're selling and you're like, I'm not making any money on this at the end of the day because you don't have those processes in place. So putting those processes in place ends up helping you actually not just break even, but generate real income and net income.
Exactly. And I think that's, really one of the major things that definitely in terms of my goals is that I want to assist somebody from that starting point, right? That you have an idea. Like I like have backed up into the vision of like, you're out there in the world and you're doing things. And a lot of times we do things because we were taught to do something. So maybe we're doing something else, right? Like that I was working at this corporate office. And then I was like, you know what? This is not really my style. It's not my style. But at the same time, I learned a lot while I was there. And so as I did that, I was like, okay, so I started backing into like, how does a business grow? And I feel like, you have a skill set or you're really good with making a certain thing. So you end up making product. And so you find yourself doing a thing and you evolve into this opportunity that can be profitable. But really, I feel that without those processes in order, you're not going to be able to do what you just explained, the things that you did. And was process improvement something you had really thought of at the beginning, or were you more focused on other parts of your business?
At the beginning, it was probably the last thing that was on my mind. Here and there, like when problems came up, that's when we would implement a process. So like, oh crap, this is happening. How do we make a process out of this? Because obviously we just screwed this one up. So it usually came out of a mistake. So whether something, during the onboarding of a client, whatever, that's usually when we found out that, oh, we need something here, which is usually too late.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that you ended up doing process improvement as a result of hitting a roadblock.
Yeah.
And like identifying the opportunity and then saying, oh no. And sometimes I also have seen when you get into those situations, you end up putting a Band-Aid. So your process improvement happens. So maybe you do a little bit of improvement, but maybe not to the max, time to value return. And so then you can continue to hobble along. I guess I think of it like as a car driving down the road and you end up like on a donut. You can certainly drive on a donut for a while. But at some point, you got to put a real tire back on.
Right. And so that's, we were basically Band-Aiding our way through the first few years. Mm-hmm. And there's still things that pop up like that. We just made some hires before the new year that were very intentional in terms of improving our processes. So we actually have one of our senior managers now. Her whole job is to just improve processes. Like that's it, basically. So, and it's really.
I'm going to give you like love for that one. I'm going to give you like so much love because I feel like that's a lot of consideration for the people that you work for, who are serving the people that you serve. Like, I mean, exactly. That's essentially your customer service.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of rethinking, retooling your mindset into thinking that when you're taking care of the internal processes and making sure that your employees aren't frustrated with lack of communication or just breakdowns in communication, especially, then once those are improved, your client relationships should improve too. And we already have a pretty high retention rate, but I want that to be perfect. So, and I think that really begins with improving our retention rate internally too. And not just having that stay high, but making really, really happy employees.
I'm giving you more love for that. That's seriously, and I think that from what I'm hearing you say is that you really understand the value of, what your employee is giving, as well as what your customer is receiving, and you see that there's a cyclical relationship within that space, and that, to me, yes, you have your product or your service, but it really is kind of tied together, in a way with the wheel of process.
It definitely is, and hopefully that comes off, because I've probably done every position in the company except for our CFO, which I don't want to touch that stuff. And so because I was the first of like the account managers or marketing strategists, I kind of understand and can empathize with the fact that it sucks sometimes when you have to pull reports for a week. Or you have a client who's just not getting it and you're not connecting for some reason. So that kind of does play into the experience of knowing that we really need a process and some kind of support system.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, and I guess again back to what I guess I'm try to do is just to identify, you know, how does a company start and grow, and what are the things that I can do to assist somebody who is at that beginning point and wanting to go to the point that you're at. So I guess I'm going to switch over to Casey for a minute really quick, because you're kind of more at that point right now. I mean, you've been doing your thing and you have your skills and your talent, so that's established. You've started selling some product and that's established, but you're ready to take your business a little further.
Yeah.
So would you like to describe maybe some of the things that we've done recently that either maybe you had thought of and or even maybe that you hadn't thought of, and how has that affected what you've done in the last week or two?
I think the biggest thing that has made a difference since, we started working together was the fact is, it was almost kind of like I needed, when you're running your own business, and especially now, I've previously, and I still am, but previously, I'm a commercial photographer, and I started my company literally, talking to people face to face and handing out business cards and having my big ginormous leather portfolio book and taking it to showings and meetings. That was the extent of promotion. And then, I went kicking and screaming into a website, and I went kicking and screaming into social media. And my biggest thing with Nicole, and the first thing I said was, to be perfectly honest, I'm not a social media person. And I've done other courses, and I've tried to work with other coaches, and it's like, do this, do this, do this. Well, I've done it. I haven't seen any improvement. Here I am spending 8 hours in a day trying to be on, 8 different social media platforms, not seeing any success, not seeing any growth. And it's not possible to do that and run my website and write my, my guide and develop my products and establish my products and research product, and bring on makers. I mean, I'm juggling multiple balls in the air. And if things are not efficient, I'm screwed. They're all going to fall at some point. I'm not going to want to do this. I'm going to be exhausted. And here I'm trying to help people and teach them ways to simplify their life. Meanwhile, I'm practically sitting in a corner rocking and eating my hair because I can't manage my shit in front of me. So with Nicole, the first thing Nicole did was gave me permission to simplify and to break it down and go, you know what? If you don't want to do that, don't do it. If you don't want to do this, don't do that. This will help, but let's break it down and make it manageable steps. And I think it was I want to say a week ago that we did our first meeting, and within that week, the full branding is done. The full logo is completely done. The color palette is done. Yeah, and it's because the thing was where I think Nicole and I have matched up really well is I had somebody who was on my level, who talks the same way I do, who thinks the same way I do, and says, okay, at the end of the day, my goal is to help people and make sales. It's just a reality. I mean, I wish we lived in a world where we could all help each other and not have to worry about money, but rainbows and unicorn farts don't pay bills. They just don't. So, it's coming at the solution that I can manage all these things and make it work. And within the process of, I tend to sometimes get, big ideas and I want to, hit the ground running. And whereas Nicole told me, she goes, okay, pull back. You have to crawl before you can walk. It's that simple. And so I think now we're establishing these processes and we're figuring out how to do this, and we're making, step by step, laying these plans out. So when I do get to the point where I can bring on help, I can bring on other people to assist, I'm not going to be scrambling then to try to figure out how do I, help these people? How do I, maximize their time with me? And so I really do think that now we've got so much information out there, and so many coaches and so many guides and ebooks and courses and videos, and it's overwhelming. It's really, really important to have somebody to coach you, but it's really important to find the right person to coach you and help you establish these processes from the beginning. And for me, that's Nicole. It took me a long time, and it literally took her sending me a Facebook message, because we're in a business group together, and I had posted something about a question, and she sends me this message, and I'm like, hi, my name is Nicole. She's like, dude, why didn't you ask me about this?
Yeah, I was like, okay, like, and that's like another thing too, is that I feel that not to like cut you off here, is that I feel like, as we're like moving forward, right? Like I'm also juggling a million things. So I get it. Cause like I am also doing the small business thing. In fact, I even sent Kevin a message before this because I was like, I was meant to get him these notes before. And I said, obviously my process even needs improvement. And it does,
Yes.
So it's not like I'm even immune to that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We all need help. And I've had more clarity in the past week working with her and starting to see the light on things than I have honestly in the past 6 months. And I mean, originally I started this company, it was actually something completely different. I'm not even gonna get into what it was, but I realized fairly quickly it wasn't working and it wasn't what I wanted to do. And so I started making a certain product to meet a need that I had. And all of a sudden I had bombardment from people going, well, I want to buy one. And I was sitting there going, maybe I have something here. And you know what? This industry and what I'm doing honestly has absolutely nothing to do what I went to college for, what my degrees are in. And, and that's going back to what Nicole said, is how we're kind of taught a certain way. We're supposed to do things a certain way. And if you'd met me 5 years ago, knew what I was doing now, you'd look at me like I was crazy. It's like, no, this is the girl that exists on 3 hours of sleep and can pretty much sleep anywhere and do anything. And I'm completely different. And so,
okay, so I'm not like totally gonna like bring you like down a notch, and otherwise I'd like let you keep talking, but like I want to just, but I appreciate it. So basically what you're saying is that, by working with someone else, regardless of whether it was me, you were able to take and stop like just turning your wheels and make improvements. Like, I mean, exactly. She's like knocked out so much stuff over the last week. I'm just like, keep going. Yeah. And I actually have a question for you, Kevin, is that as you were developing your business and as those process opportunities came up, did you bring in anyone else to consult with you, or did you kind of just handle them in-house?
We handled them in-house. So I actually do have a couple mentors, and I lean on people a lot just because of their experience. So I've sought out other small business owners to help me out. Internally, I always look to hire people who are exact opposites of me. There's enough of me in the company, is the way I feel. And so I am very not process oriented. And it's kind of like one of those things that I have to force myself into. So I was actually an art major as well. And so, so I don't use my degree at all.
Okay.
But there are some things I did not learn going through art school, which would include processes. Other than photography, I was a photography minor. So just the development process, yeah, I got that.
Yeah.
But so I ended up hiring a lot of people who were the exact opposites of me. And I started to notice that the more people I've hired towards the more recently, they have been much more process driven than anyone else probably. But I think that complements everyone who was there in the early stages really well.
That's good.
And it provides some relief for like Lauren, who's my operations manager, who runs basically everything for me. It gives her some relief because now she has some people who can also develop more processes. So
that's awesome. And so I also love the fact that you're being very vigilant about the the balance in terms of the skills and potentially the learning capacities of those that you're bringing on. I mean, I feel like a strong leader would, right, be looking for those things. But again, I feel like that's even something that is often overlooked, is looking for those skill sets, but also mentalities, and maybe even because they're creative. I'm actually like left brain, right brain balanced. So I actually swing between being a creative and being a logic driven person, like easy. But at the same, so it can be difficult for me to be like, deal with the one side when I'm on the one side. Like if I'm in my creative space, I'm like, or if I'm in my process side, I can't, like, I have sometimes a difficult time getting to the like abstract space. But on your level, to be vigilant of that means that you're setting yourself up for a very, hopefully efficient future, which is, again, coming down to your bottom line and being able to create that margin, right, through the efficiency.
Yeah, exactly. And agencies don't have crazy high margins either. Right. Unless you start really, I mean, you can get into creative agencies, but they're always like project based. And so we're month to month base. It's like almost a subscription service for small businesses. So hitting those margins it's so important to get. And anything that is basically a waste of money is a loss almost, because they're so slim. And so in the way all these agencies end up scaling or making a large profit is by scaling, and they scale well. Mm-hmm. So that is something that we've always just had to pay really, really close attention to. And customer retention is important, but employee retention is extremely important to that process, or to getting to scale. Mm-hmm. Because replacing someone, especially if they're really good, is really expensive. So making sure that we have all those processes set in place is essential to our growth and our health.
In fact, you actually just touched on a really important point. This is something that came up recently. Someone that I know was recently hired on as, at a design firm. And while certain people in this particular company were handling the situation, like of the onboarding of this person, like saying, giving context. It's really important to give context. And I feel like context is built out of having, maybe if not seamless process, at least somewhat efficient process, right? And so as things happen, as time moves along, people who are involved in it, they have reference points. And so if you've been in that reference channel for a long time, it's a lot easier for you to do something forward, because you've already learned that, you've already kind of come into that, ebb and flow. And so when you're bringing on a new person, if you have your processes in order, and you have especially your standard operating procedures, and that actually goes down from not just things like how do we get a product or a service out the door to the customer, it goes down to branding. Like one of the things that I work with my small, because I'm working largely with very small businesses, is creating a branding statement, like a branding summary. So it's like, here's all my colors, here's all my fonts, here's my image treatments. Starting with simple things like that from the beginning can really assist you in creating your context channel, if you will, so that you can bring those people on when it's time and find the way to onboard them. Because like you said, it is very, very expensive to bring on someone who's very good at what they do and to replace that individual.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, losing people is expensive.
Right? So, okay, so I'm going to take a moment here, and I'm going to actually ask you guys, what are some of the business process improvements that you wish that people, could put more time into, or would put more time into before they did a thing? Is there anything you can think of off the top of your head where you've seen a thing, you're like, man, that really could have used some more thought or whatever before you executed that? I know that's kind of an on the spot. Yeah, do you got one?
I've got one.
Oh yeah, Kevin, go ahead, Kevin. I want to hear this.
So of course we're in the marketing world, but I deal with people who are making anywhere between $200,000 to 10 million probably. And almost all of our customers have zero marketing strategy. They just try to, throw something at the wall and see if it'll fit or if it'll work. And so I've got people who would just spend thousands of dollars on mailers just because someone called them and said, hey, you should do this. And there's no reason to it, and there's no actual targeting to it. And when you ask them, like, who is my, we always ask, who's your ideal customer? And, the fact that it doesn't come off, immediately off the tip of their tongue is a big indicator that, they don't know. And so they're probably mismanaging their money, probably spending way too much money, and probably hiring the wrong people to help them out. But that's one big thing.
On that point, I'm going to switch over to Casey, because what did we do this week?
What didn't we do this week?
What did we do yesterday? What did we just deal with yesterday?
Oh God.
The question that he just talked about it.
Oh, well, one of the big things that we talked about was figuring out what similar companies are to you, figuring out, like-minded companies, like-minded, guides, things like that. And she asked me, she goes, what are companies out there in comparison with what you offer? And I stopped and I went, I don't know. She goes, well, you need to know. So I started doing the research and started looking up, and everything from small Etsy vendors all the way to major, worldwide corporations and stuff, and start looking at them and seeing what how they're attracting their clientele, how they're attracting their customers, and kind of work your way backwards. And that's, that's something that I spent a good deal of time on yesterday trying to point.
So my point of sharing that is that, and also, by the way, my dog is barking and are going to be barking here. So I think she wants me to do something. Gabby, come here. You want a treat? This is always like every time.
Part of working for yourself. I have 2 pugs running around.
I might take a second and go give her a treat. But my point of that was that, defining your client avatar is really essential and important. And of course, she doesn't have her, I don't think she has her, collar on, so I can't get her. Yeah, but just, even if you're a small business, you can still find a way to back into your client avatar. Once you define your client avatar, then you can do those things with your marketing. I mean, if someone at a small business level can take a day to spend on that, then that's just, I feel like that's a fairly simple solution, right? For even a bigger client. Okay, hold on just a moment. I'm going to deal with this really quick.
Okay. The joys of working at home.
Yeah, I don't have dogs, and that's partially why.
I have twin, a boy and a girl pugs. They're 3.5, and so it's like I was with Nicole, and I'm sorry, they're gonna start screaming their head off as soon as halfway in the meeting, boom, Gracie starts screaming her head off. Just the usual thing.
I should have had these next to me. Our friends brought treats yesterday, so I should have been prepared with them, but I wasn't. So that was kind of a
put that in the manual.
Misstep.
Put that in the
I'm gonna put that in the manual. Keep your dog from barking. Make sure you have treats on hand.
Yeah.
Every time, you guys, she knows it. It's like children.
Yeah.
I have so much respect for people with kids and all the things. And I mean, so that's even actually a really good segue. Is that with those things, disruptions like pets or children or any event, whether it's things going on in the workplace, I feel that investing in your process improvement, this is another thing that can assist you. It's like when you get off track, if you know where you're coming back to, I guess I almost think of it like when you have your standard operating procedures, or your just in general whether it's a system or process itself, have that defined, it's a lot easier to get back onto your track, your railroad track,
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm gonna go to Kevin then. Kevin, do you have an example in your business maybe where after you had one of those solution opportunities, how did defining some of those processes, how did that help you, in a future situation? Is there any particular thing where that something happened and then it happened again or something like it, and having that defined made it a lot easier to handle the next time?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things I'm thinking of right now. A couple of client situations, and then also internally, like training. So I'll do training first. So, we're growing pretty quickly, and training was one of those things where it's like, here's someone who's been here for a while, sit with them, and they'll show you everything you need to know. But one of my team members who just was promoted a couple of weeks ago, she brought to our attention, she was like, this is awful, because basically I was out of town and 2 other managers were out of town. And so everything kind of fell on her when 3 people joined at one time.
Wow.
And so she was just like, I'm so overwhelmed. And she wrote this awesome email about it, and was just very, very sincere and respectful in it. But basically being like, you guys need to get your act together.
I'm gonna that love is for her. So will you please tell her that I sent her super high fives for that, because that's awesome that she, feels comfortable to be able to say that and bring it up to your attention. I mean, that I think even is probably a reflection of, something that you must have done to set that up, and the expectation, create that relationship.
Yeah, and I think she's really invested into the company, and that's why she's been promoted too, just because she's got the guts to go and say in a very respectful way, like, I care about the company and this is why I'm telling you. And it's things that, because I'm focused on other parts inside the company, I missed. So anyways, she brought that to our attention, and we ended up bringing on one of our other managers, and she built out this whole learning system. And so we now have a training module that we can pull people through, which is fantastic. So now everyone goes through standard training, and we can update it all the time when we have like a new process or new procedure. And then we can also test people on it. Like, did you get everything correct? Do you understand it fully? And then we'll do in-person training and things like that. So that's extremely helpful. On the client side, things happen every day that are just, you can't prepare yourself for.
Yeah.
Right.
I have a client right now who's a franchise, and they have new rules and restrictions on what they can do with us now. And so how do we adapt to that? And how do we make sure that we still deliver all of the results that our client loves, and not put them in a bad position with the franchise? So there's little processes that we have internally. It's just like, things happen. Like, you just need to adapt. Like, that's the way the market shifts, and that's just a part of business. Business is business. It's not personal to us. It's just, you need to shift. So, back in the day, we'd probably freak out and be like, oh my God, the sky is falling. What are we going to do? But now it's very much like, okay, let's assess, make a plan, and just represent it. So
I interject when Kevin says is I think that's part of one of the biggest issues is you take everything personally, and when it comes to business, you can't. Even if this is my baby, but if I'm asking objectively, what do you think? You have to separate, and it's hard to say that, but you do.
yeah.
I've tried things that blew up my face that were complete crap, and even with products, I launched a product this past holiday season, and I did horrible in sales of a particular product, and I went, okay, it's not going to work. It's not personal. It just doesn't work. Sell off the stock, and that's the end of it, and you move on. And I think that's the thing too, is I purposely asked people, like, I'm putting together a market research panel for next month for the brand. And I purposely am going to ask them and say, I need you to be honest. Tell me honest. If you don't like something, my feelings will get over it, but you're not helping my brand. If you're saying, oh, it's pretty. No, I don't want to hear pretty. I want to know what's wrong with it so I can fix it to increase my reach and increase my, my productivity, increase my sales. So I think it's one of the first big lessons. And like you said, getting your art degrees, and they didn't teach you a process. I didn't walk out of these degrees going, I am so capable of handling a business side. No.
Yeah.
When I got into it, it was like, I am so screwed because I have no idea what I'm doing, and you take everything personally, and you can't, so I think that's one of the first big lessons I would say of developing anything is you got to be able to separate. So that was a great point. You just figure out the problem. And you move on. Yeah,
exactly. And this is a really good segue to one of my next points, is that so it can happen organically, which is kind of what we've been talking about, is that you hit a wall and then you make a change or whatever. I suppose that one of my main reasons that I wanted to talk about process improvement today, obviously there's a purpose, right? And that I am a solution wizard, and I definitely am looking for clients to be able to solve their problems. So if someone's looking for a solution wizard, I love working with a variety of clients, but I really want to encourage people to do that with intention from the beginning. I feel that you can overcome a lot of those challenges. Like, I can actually launch a business in a day. I'm talking from, I can set up basically a basic IT structure with email, domain, website, socials, with branding, and a whole bunch of other stuff. I can do that in less than 8 hours. I probably could even maybe get it down to 4 right now. But I've learned that. I've learned all the things to be able to do that. I've also learned, when I came from the corporate situation, all these things were provided for you. You're like, here's your computer, and here's your email, and here's your whatever. Okay, go to town. There's already something happening there. So you just kind of get into the stream of what someone else is doing. But when you launch your own business, you've got to find either a provider or a solution that will carry you cost effectively. Right. And I feel that if you're someone who, like my small people, like Casey, or I've worked with a dog walker, and I've worked with a photographer. I have a auto body equipment shop. I've got a hairstylist. So these are like individual people, right? They're not maybe on your level, Kevin, but at the same time, it's not to say that they couldn't be eventually, right? You get your start somewhere. And so, I try to really learn. I really thought, how can I recreate what you're given as as an employee at a place? How can I recreate the system for as inexpensive as possible with the best, situation, and also be prepared to scale?
Yeah.
right? Because you can actually you can invest in lots of systems, but to get your data out, which to me your data is gold, right? If you have emails and whatever, to move that later is expensive. It can be time consuming. Either you have to do it or you have to hire someone, and it takes time to test and make sure that that's all been done right. So if you can really set yourself up in a situation like using something like even Google, Google for Work, like the Gmail app or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something like that. I will start there and help someone set up those additional, perimeter items that will, help them maybe even anticipate and or prepare to jump that roadblock. They know it's going to happen. We're not sure when, but we're going to nail it. We're just going to overcome it. And kind of in Casey's example this week, the things that she's done in the last week, I mean, I'm guessing she's probably been wanting to do this for months, but she's knocking it out faster than I can even respond by message sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think that what I helped her do was just remove, first of all, her own too closeness to herself. Yeah. And then, being able to think about it a little bit more objectively, as well as, sometimes, have you ever found yourself in a situation where you're like, man, how do I do that? Or what do I do about that? And it's something so obvious and kind of silly that you're like, well, first I could Google it, or I could at least even ask somebody that I know, that does a thing. And that person actually might be in your back pocket, but you don't think about it because you're stuck by that block.
Right.
And so I guess, like I said, again, the main reason that I wanted to talk about process improvement today was, I just feel that if we're vigilant about the value of process improvement and what that looks like, instead of being an abstract thing, we can really kind of just attack it face forward, being like, bring it.
Yeah.
It's going to happen, but I'm going to be prepared for you, and if I don't have the right tools in my knapsack right now, I got a buddy over here who's got some tools in his knapsack, and I've got this guy over here with their tools, and I'm sure that between the two of us or the three of us, we can go past that thing right there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
is that fair? Does it sound crazy?
No, I think asking for help is the biggest thing. Asking for help is very humbling in life, and it's very humbling in business. But and I've been guilty. We've all been guilty of the fact of trying to do everything ourselves. And at a certain point, you kind of go, I don't want to do it by myself. I can't do it all. I'm really tired of doing it all. And it's amazing once you kind of realize that and you start asking for help and you start finding the right people to help you, how it's just improves, drastically improves. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's something where, I see ego just gets in the way, right? It's our own little pride. And so if you can get past your pride and just ask for some help, or just be like, hey, do you know someone that can do this? Then that opens up a whole new world. And, that could be the difference between, getting from, a 6-figure company to becoming a 7-figure company. So
exactly.
It's just those little things that end up really being a huge thing. And ego is one of those big things that could prevent you from missing an opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
And and like you just said, in fact, it doesn't really matter if you're a small guy like some of us, or if you're on the higher level, and at the corporate level. In fact, it really just, there is opportunities, and it's really it's up to you of how you handle that, like you said, overcoming your ego, and also aligning yourself with the right individuals who can carry you through, either through, over. With that song, it's like, if you can't go over it, must go around it. Can't, going under it. It's like you're walking through it. It's like some camp song. I'll have to look for it. But it makes me think of that. It's like, if you can't go over it, gotta go around it. If you can't go around it, gotta swim through it.
Yeah.
It's so somebody's gonna get you there. And anyways, if you know somebody that is looking for that one-on-one attention, that's something that I really enjoy doing. In part because I have worked with a wide variety of people and situations. I mean, I feel like, I guess the ultimate point of what I even want to say here is that, to me, there is no such thing as no, that can't be done.
Yeah.
It's a question of whether or not you want to be creative enough to attack the thing. If you want to spend the money, in fact, whether it's worth the investment to attack a thing, or just aligning yourself with the right resources, whether that's people or the tools that are already created. And so I feel that if you have the opportunity to, again, whether it's partner with a friend, who Kevin, you said that you have several mentors you've worked with and probably continue to work with.
Yeah.
Because and I don't care, and I'm sure that right? If you look at like some of the top leaders, I'm sure that even they have mentors, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You need them. You need them to help guidance, and you need to look at them, especially having a really bad day. You go, they were here once, they were here, and now they're there, and so it's possible, So I think it's really important. I think it's also important too, where Nicole and I are completely different industries, if you want to look at it that way, but at the same time we're doing a lot of similar things, and it's great to have that balance with people for feedback, honest feedback, who can it'll resonate with you, they can understand, but at the same time they have enough separation, they have an objective view of it versus doing exactly what you're doing, so to speak. So I just think it's really important. I mean, there's this whole thing of, I think I've noticed this trend on social media the past couple of years about building your tribe, and I think it's gotten kind of associated with like this yogi mentality. But when it comes to business, it's true. You really do need to have a group of people, whether you do the same thing or not, that you can kind of grow together and rely on. And it's important. It's just important for growth. It's important for your own mental health and your physical health and everything, because, as you guys know, owning your business takes every single ounce of your energy and your time. And if you don't find that balance, it'll bite you in the ass in the end. It will. I've worked out before,
All right, I'm gonna accept Zippy's call here. So let's see what Zippy's got to say. Maybe. And my dog is like stressed. I'm like, you have like 10 more minutes, and then we can go for go lay down. Go lay down. This coworker over here is like, she's lazy, and she is like super needy sometimes with the walks, but at the same time, I just can't fire her.
I know. My one of mine's sleeping on the job right now, so
I don't know. Zippy ears is not coming in. I'm not really sure why. Okay, Kevin, I'm gonna ask you a couple more questions.
Yeah.
What do you feel that there was any particular process that you have improved, or something that you've invested in your business that you maybe wouldn't have thought of as being as valuable as it turned out to be, or as essential as it turned out to be?
So on the sales side, we have a CRM, and actually we use Salesforce. But I'm switching off of it because it's a little bit more than we need. But the functionality of it, just being able to keep all of my leads, all of my new business, my current customers in there, having just organizing all the information about people and what's important to them. We do things like log notes of like, okay, they're talking about this on social media. This is important to them. So we can track all that stuff. Yeah, Zoho is great. I'm actually looking at Nutshell right now.
Okay, I'm gonna write that one down. I'm like tools get me really excited.
Yeah.
Also, besides process,
yeah,
Nutshell.
Nutshell. So I think it's like Salesforce Lite, basically.
Got it.
But anyway, so that whole process has been awesome because if we ever need to pass clients off to someone new, and they just need to go in there and basically take up from where the last person left off, then it's super easy. In sales processes, I've gotten a lot of clients who I talked to a year ago, and then I set reminders for myself like 6 months later or a year later and be like, hey, let's reach out to them. And I just did that yesterday to a couple people, and they're like, you know what, I was just thinking about you. Let's set up a call. So
that's awesome.
It's awesome. So it's
almost like manifestation, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so it's all about those, just tracking that stuff, because otherwise I would have forgotten about it. but just being able to be intentional about being intentional and getting back together with those people is extremely important. So that's helped out tremendously with sales growth. And a lot of people, because we are a fairly new company, a lot of them are just kind of sitting there watching to see what we're going to do. We're in one vertical where they're like, okay, great, you're here, but we've seen guys like you before, and you're gone the next day. And so they wouldn't sign up with us for that reason. But, we kept coming back year after year, and they're like, okay, you probably know what you're doing, and I'll give you guys a shot.
That's awesome.
It's kind of coming back full circle now.
That's so cool. And that gave me shivers. It just it's got to feel great. I mean, how long has this company been?
Yeah, so we're about to celebrate 5 years since we started.
Wow, congrats.
5 years in next week. So.
Wow.
I've been enjoying your videos, the videos that your team puts out.
Oh, thanks.
Those are really cool. So I'm curious to see, what you can do, or, how you can integrate Blab if you decide to do so in your business, if there's any opportunity for that. If not, no big deal. But I'm, like I said, I'm really thankful that you decided to try it out today.
Yeah, I'm actually, Van joined in earlier. And the reason why I ever was introduced to Blab was because he does, it's like social media church conference. So he basically takes church leaders and interviews them, and they talk about incorporating social media into just their ministries, which most of them really suck at. So,
right. Yeah.
So he's a fantastic expert in that, and he introduced me to Blab, and I was like, oh, this has got to be so cool, just to have a really engaging interview process, really, and something that you can use way past what's happening right now. We can use this, on a blog post or a recap. So super value behind it. And you never know when you're going to have a Blab interview that just, knocks it out of the park. And that might be the content that really, sets you up or launches your career in this.
Absolutely.
So there's lots of opportunities.
Yeah. I mean, this today, in fact, so I've done several Blabs, but this is the best Blab I've had so far, in part because I'm if you can tell, I got my sparkle background.
I love the sparkle background.
I've got my lights, my camera lights over here. I think I need to get, I may have blue tone going on my face, but it's okay. It's okay. But it's getting kind of professional up in here.
Yeah. I'd say the lights are definitely professional.
I'm we're going to do this. If we're going to do this, we're going to do this. So, and I love the opportunity. Okay, I'm trying Zippy again. Accept. Also, there's a lot of driving going on. It's a very interesting thing. So that's why I recommend having at least one other person while you're doing a Blab. First of all, if no one else shows up, at least you got, somebody there to talk to. And then also when people are having conversations and then there's 20 things going on, it really does help to have a couple people, or your dog's barking.
Yeah.
That one. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. I would get this one up here, but she's busy on her third treat. So, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Part of, this is a really good tie-in. So part of, process improvement is that for me, even this whole situation, as I just explained, me doing this, this is my probably fourth or fifth one, and this I feel is the best one. But I've really genuinely enjoyed the responses that you've shared. I feel that they're very valuable, for the further content, process that I would like to do, take and extend it to. But besides that, you need to know tools and whatnot. You need to be able to run with a thing, right? I had to experience the really bad echo in my headphones to be able to know, okay, I gotta invest in that part, right? If you don't have the certain tools to be able to do it well, you're gonna have a crappy return on it. And then also being able to put together my Blab packet so that if you wanted to do this, Kevin, you could probably do this anytime, no problem, anywhere, and you're gonna feel comfortable.
Yeah, it was super
Whereas
helpful.
in the past, you may have been interested in being a lurker and wanting to just check out a thing and popping in and out. Now I feel like either one of you are, way more likely now, having tried this, gotten comfortable, seeing it's not actually that complicated, and it's not that scary to be with a camera. Let's face it, not all of us are in front of a camera every day.
Right.
No, not at all.
So
it's
right?
It's super hard to get comfortable with it too. It's just especially like hearing yourself or being like aware of like how you sound.
Listen
That's
to
the worst
Flamenco. I
part.
didn't know my voice sounded like that. It was like,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
My little sister actually just shared a article about the fact that in our heads we actually have a different perception of the bass. There's a bass thing because of our cranial structure, I guess, that we have more bass in our heads. So that's why when we hear it later, it's actually how people hear it.
Oh yeah, and mine's awful because I already have a deep voice, so I feel like
I think you've got a
super
great
low.
voice for this. You've got a great voice for this.
Total like
Thanks.
radio announcer voice,
Thanks.
voiceover stuff. You should be doing the voiceovers for Blab when they start doing the commercials because they
Oh,
will
man.
eventually. So
Hope
yeah,
so.
there you go.
See, and like, I'd have to talk to you offline, but I would love to like think about, maybe there are ways that this could be incorporated into some of your clients, opportunities. I think that this is something that could be really cool at a local level. And again, because you can get quite a few people on here viewing, it's just a really great way to prove your value. Like for me, for example, to be able to toot my horn on social, yeah, okay, it's kind of cool. And yes, I can write blog posts, but to be able to engage with someone like this, right? We're far away. I'm in San Francisco, actually San Bruno. Casey's in San Diego, and you're in Atlanta, right, Kevin?
Yeah, that's
or
right.
near. Okay, so we're able to like.
It's great.
It's like you're in the next room, kind of.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm getting full clarity on my phone, so it's great.
Yeah, and I love it in the fact in fact this is an often way that I meet. I like to educate my clients about how to do web conferencing so that they don't feel like they have to go and meet in person. I told someone, I was like, even if we're 5 miles away, I likely would schedule you with a web conference because sometimes I don't have time to switch between going, driving 15, 20, 30 minutes to go meet you, driving 20, 30 minutes back, and then having another call. Like this, I can do a call, take a break for 20, 30 minutes, maybe walk my dog or whatever has to be done, have some lunch, and I can get, more productivity out of it. I could still, meet you on your own time, in person. I think there's still value in that, but there's just so many great opportunities. And for us to be able to work those into our processes, we need to be able to understand how the tools work. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like dust that in there all over the conversation so I can always bring it back.
Perfect.
And then there's the facilitation skills. So I'm really excited. I hope that you guys each do try to do a blab yourself. And if you do, definitely invite me.
Of course.
Follow each other on here. And I'm really looking forward to seeing as well, if you do turn this into other content, please tag and share with me. I'm loving seeing the products of what this little exchange does. And also, if you happen to know of someone who would like to try a blab, you know what to do is send them my way.
Absolutely.
We'll have a random conversation about random some things, and I'll be like, "You're the guy that I met through a guy that I randomed on the internet."
Yep.
Like, I don't even have to go and sass people at the bar anymore.
It's gonna be 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon all over again.
Right?
Just through Blab.
6
Through
degrees of Kevin Ekmark.
Yeah, there you go.
Is it Ekmark? Is I saying it right?
That's right. Yeah.
There you go.
Awesome.
There you go.
And if I happen to ever pop by Atlanta, I will definitely say hello. Hey, come and say hello.
Yeah. Hey, we have a laser tag and bowling facility right next to us.
Ooh.
Because we're like buddies now. You know that, right? Like you're totally in my friend zone.
Grab a beer and go play some laser tag.
Yes.
That's how you do a meeting.
This is how we do it. This is amazing. Like, this is so amazing. Like, I can't even. This is how you make friends. This is how you make content. This is how you make amazing business happen. And at that point, I think we're at time. I'm going to ask for last thoughts on process improvement on our conversation today. Casey, you go first. What do you have to say about process improvement?
Get started early from the get-go. Don't wait. Just get started, because you're gonna, you'll wind up costing yourself time and money and energy later on, and frustration. So get somebody in your corner who knows more and has more experience and can guide you from the beginning, and just start laying the foundation now. Even if you only have 2 customers, do it now. You will thank yourself later on. I'm learning this. Trust me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tag on to that is that, one of the oftentimes the one of the hurdles that I hear to people, if I'm suggesting my services, is that, well, well, it's expensive. I don't have the money. And I have to say that if you value something, if you value your business and you value the opportunities and the opportunity to, again, kind of jump those hurdles when they come up, being prepared in advance, you can find the money. And in fact, and like, it doesn't matter whether it's me or it's someone else on, that's out there. I know that there are several other people who are doing kind of like what I do. I mean, there are various ways in which people do the process improvement or address a specific thing, like specifically marketing or branding or whatever. I mean, you can definitely work with those people. However, I highly recommend someone who is skilled at project management specifically, who and I also say don't necessarily, you don't have to work with someone who's necessarily in or familiar with your industry, but be very vigilant of the fact that this person just needs to probably demonstrate some maneuverability skills and get references. But would you? I like to say, would you invest 1,000 if you can make 10,000?
Yeah.
Like, right? Because I mean, just recently I had one of my clients boosted her monthly goal by $1,000. She makes 4,000. Was making 4,000 was her goal for the month. She boosted it up to 5,000 this month. That's a 25% increase. You don't get a 25% increase in your income at a standard company. Yeah. And I had another client who implemented a better booking system and saved herself 10 minutes per day. That's 52 hours a year. 52 hours. That's more than a working week. What could you do with a working week worth of time by just taking a little bit of front end time, setting up a proper system, streamlining a few things, and maybe it would cost you, 100 or 500, but even if it costs 500, one whole week work week is probably, worth more than that, right? So yeah, exactly. It's worth it, really, in the long run. And also the headaches and the things like you were talking about, Kevin, just, either bringing in someone else to assist you, you can help, it helps them understand what you're doing, and or, make it easier for your client, to be able to receive the products and services that you give and get. So last thing, sorry I tagged on there, but Kevin, go ahead. What's your comment today? Wrap up comment about process improvement.
Yeah, I would probably say don't let your ego get in the way of your success. The fact that if you're having a problem or you're struggling with something and you can't go out and ask someone about it, or at least say, hey, I'm struggling with this, do you know someone? Then, you only have yourself to blame at that point. So let's drop the ego.
Also, I just dropped Kevin's Twitter, Snapchat, and Facebook handles in there, so you would go and follow him. You can also find me as at CRE8IVENC across all of my social, which would be Twitter, Instagram, Anchor. I don't know, I definitely on LinkedIn, but that's not the one. And also you'll be able to find Creative Niche Collective on Facebook. We have a public page as well as a private group in which I occasionally share some random tidbits. I'm always looking to find, little pieces of things that may help or inspire, a change in your business. But thank you guys so much for joining today. I had a wonderful time. I hope you did too.
Yes. Yeah.
I hope you go forth and make amazing process improvement babies. Or something like that. I don't know. Go do cool stuff today.
Right now.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys soon, okay?
Bye, guys.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
There we go.